Welcome to another demo. I'm Laurent from Auterion, and today it's about drone simulation. Before we dive into the actual demo, let's talk a little bit about drone simulation in general. So there are really two main use cases when it comes to drone simulation. On the one hand, there are the drone operators, so the end users who use the drones to get a job done. To them, simulation can be a powerful tool to practice and train flights and missions, so they can basically practice how to fly a drone, how to execute an autonomous missions, different maneuvers, just how to handle the drone to get the job done they need to get done. So that's one use case. On the other hand, we have drone development, so developers who develop drone solutions or apps interacting with drones. And for them, simulation is a very powerful tool to test and to basically become part of the development, because testing in simulation is usually much faster, quicker, more efficient. So it makes drone development really, accelerates drone development. So it's a powerful tool that they can use to develop their solutions. And the most simple or easiest way of doing drone simulation for them is to do it in simulation. So you basically deploy the code that you're developing into a software drone simulation and see whether it does what it's intended to do. It's like fast, it's easy, there is no big setup, you can run it on your laptop, even in the cloud. So you can do it fast and you can do it often. So this is basically exactly what you need to keep your development going. However, simulation in software obviously simulates the behavior, but it doesn't include any of the hardware components that you would use on the end product on the actual drone. If you want to get closer to that solution, you need to bring those hardware components into your simulation. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. So if you look at the setup that we have here, it's all around our Skynode, first and foremost. Skynode is our embedded avionics module that contains flight controller, but also mission computer, so an onboard computer that can run compute-heavy code. And also the whole communication stack is included, so USB, Ethernet, but also 4G, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, everything's included here. But we also have connected some additional hardware components like this radio module over here. This is going to connect to our ground station, the ground station that we are going to use to control our simulation. And last but not least, we also connected a camera. So like a payload of a drone, we connected this camera here, and we're going to use that camera in our simulation. So camera, radio module, and all the hardware is part of the simulation. The simulation as such is also running on Skynode, on the flight controller. So no additional machines are required here to run the simulation. If we look at our SkyNav, the hardware, the ground station controller that we're going to use, we can already see the video feed from the camera. So this is the real feed, and we can also see all the indicators of the different components. So the ones that are real, like the radio, but also the ones that are simulated, like GPS, for example, which is simulated. You can also switch over to the map. So this is our simulated GPS signal that we have that's close to our office in California. And so this is the simulated part, while we have the real camera feed coming from our setup here. So what we're going to do now, we're going to plan a simple survey mission here, and we're going to simulate or run this in simulation. So I'm just going to choose a very simple, like squared survey pattern. I won't make a very big one, just to make sure that it's not running for too long. Okay. And I'll just add a return to launch at the end, and I'll upload it to the Skynode, to the simulated drone in the Skynode. So that's already it. I'll go back to fly view. And now, again, we can see the real camera feed, but on the map, we can see the path that it's going to fly in the simulation. So I'm going to hold here, and now the simulation is going to start. We can already see here in the corner that telemetry data from the simulation is being sent over the real radio link to the ground station, and is displayed here. So simulated data with the real hardware. The camera feed obviously doesn't change because that's not simulated, but that's just the real feed. You can use my hand here to move in front of the camera so that you can see it's an actual live feed. If we move back, we can see that the drone is now moving to the start of the survey, and then it starts to fly from waypoint to waypoint and is taking pictures of the survey. And one thing that I haven't showed you before in the hardware setup, if we move back to our setup, these two antennas over here are LTE antennas. So the whole Skynode is also during the simulation connected over LTE to our suite. The Autharian suite is where all the data from all the drones powered by Autharian is basically being collected. And the Skynode that we're using here, it's currently online, as you can see on the green indicator here. That means that the LTE connection is active and that this Skynode is currently online. If we scroll down, you can also see that the blue indicator here shows us that there is actually a mission running right now, this simulation, and is already, even though it's still running, transmitting data to the suite. So we can see that some of the pattern has already been flown, but the mission is still ongoing. But while the simulation is running, we already capture all the data here in the Autharian suite in near real time during the simulation. Of course, that's also true for real flights. We're just demonstrating in here you're using the simulation. Our Skynode, but that is also including a lot of hardware components that you would use on an actual drone, like the payload, like the radio, like the LTE connection, and the ground station. And you can simulate your functionality on the flight controller in that real setup using these hardware components in a very simple and efficient way. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you next time.